Kiosk is a short first-person horror cooking sim on PC that was surprisingly fun and scary and took me about an hour and a half to beat the story mode. The story takes place throughout 7 in-game days as you play as a new nighttime employee at a food stand throughout his first week, and things seem a tad bit off from the start, as there are a couple creepy notes scattered around the kitchen left by the former cook, but your boss says to just ignore them. Your first night goes overall pretty well, except for one dude who dined and dashed or took his food without paying. He returns the following night and you refuse to serve him because he stole the previous evening, and he leaves mad and says he'll get his revenge. And I believe it was also on the second evening that the creepy clown first shows up. Now, the game was genius here, as you'd likely assume he's going to be a villain in the game. But no, he just wants some food and is rather polite and comes almost every night for some snacks. Now, I should note that every customer talks to you when they go to place their order, and most customers show up every night, and while most of their conversing is just small talk, you do learn over time that the former cook was murdered and that another man crashed his car while drunk driving. Now, on a few occasions, a police officer shows up and you tell him about the Dine and Dasher along with his description, and it turns out he's an escaped convict and that it's suspected he murdered the last cook, and on night 7, the officer tells you to call 911 if you see him again, and the game ends with him breaking into the restaurant and trying to murder you, and you beat the game by throwing a kitchen knife at him. A interesting story for sure, but well written, I must say. Now, what does this game have going for it as far as horror elements go? Well, I already mentioned the notes on the wall, but this game also has several very well placed jump scares, and the fact that the power goes out almost every night, which always caught me off guard and you had to turn the power back on. So overall, not a super scary game, but enough to be called a horror game. But what about gameplay? Well, it's a cooking sim. You take orders at the counter and cook them, and almost every night new recipes and ingredients are added. Like, you start off with just drinks, hot dogs, hamburgers, and some basic condiments, but later get pancakes, salads, deep fried sides, a coffee maker, more ingredients for burgers, etc. With a cookbook you can use as reference for learning new recipes, and a whiteboard holding the customer's orders in case you forget. This was very helpful, and I probably wouldn't have enjoyed the game as much without this. And as far as I can tell, there's no punishment for messing up orders, as I managed to do this a couple times with no repercussions. Now, I tried to prepare things in advance to just speed the game along, but sadly you can't really do this, as unused prepared items will go bad after a few minutes, although cheese can lie on the floor indefinitely and be fine. Lol. I should also mention that you have infinite ingredients and that almost every day your boss calls you at the start of the day to talk about the new recipes. I have a feeling your boss calling you at the start of each shift took some inspiration from Five Nights at Freddy's, as the same thing happens in that game. In addition to the story mode, Kiosk has a relaxing mode, where there's no story and you just serve basic orders to infinite customers. And there's also a endless mode, where you serve orders on a timer and earn more time for completing orders. Although I myself didn't spend much time in these extra game modes, I'm sure cooking sim fans would enjoy them. Graphics wise, I love the retro graphics style. Soundtrack wise, not much going on here, and there aren't any voice actors, just subtitles. Performance wise, I don't remember any issues and the controller support works just fine. As a final note, you can get an achievement called No More Ratatouille by killing a rat in your kitchen, a dark humor touch. On to my final grade, I think by design this game does nothing wrong and runs well, so I give this game a 9.9 out of 10 by design, but only an 8.5 out of 10 by my personal opinions, largely because I'm not a big fan of cooking sims, but I 100% could understand a bigger fan of the genre giving this game a better score. As far as similar games I'd suggest, I recommend Cooking Mama 2 and Cake Mania Main Street on the DS if you're looking for another cooking sim, and Five Nights at Freddy's or Canine as far as horror games go. And I have reviewed Canine, by the way, link in the end card. Well, everybody, that is my review for today. I hope someone enjoyed. For any newcomers to my channel, I mostly play, review, and discuss zombie and horror games, so feel free to check out some of my other content if that maybe sounds interesting. Always remember that God loves you all very much. Hope everyone has a blessed day. Peace.